right? So why we call it as first moment of business decision or measures of central tendencies? What is the reason behind that? What is the meaning of that? Let us understand, right? So when we say, see, being a data scientist, we will be always going to deal with some data, and to work on any project, any assignments, any job profile or something like that. We will be always dealing with the data. So whenever we have the data, we shall always. I mean, these are the part of our exploratory data analysis. Okay, what is exploratory data analysis? We are going to discuss that in detail later on, but then it's a part of EDA. So we always look at the data from we look at the data from the centrality angle, right? So what is the central tendency of the data? And we, not only for data science related projects, or because we are doing it, learning it only for the data science. No, it's not like that. It's theoretical understanding we are taking right now, but we are basically using it every now and then in our life. It's something like, talking about, if I want to take any decision, if I want to take a decision of shall I go ahead and buy a flat or an apartment or a new car or a new pen or a new mobile, or shall I apply into this company for a new job, or maybe all sort of decisions, like shall I go ahead and buy online only, or shall I go and buy it from only DMart, and why to buy DMart? So whenever these decisions making conditions comes in front of us, right? If you want to get an admission into a gym, so why a specific gym? If you want to go for a schooling, then why a particular school? Why not any other school? So all these questions, when you want to try and answer these questions, you will always think about the central tendencies. And majorly central tendencies will be defined by these three measures. Okay. The very first measure will be mean or average. The second measure is median, and the third measure is mode. This will be applicable most of the times for your continuous data. Not most of the time, always. It will be on continuous data. Median will be applied on your continuous data again most of the time, but median can be applied on discrete count as well. Right? And mode will be applied on discrete data, whether it is a count data or whether it is a categorical data, whether it is a two class or two category data, or whether it is a multi-category data or multi-class data. So these are all subtypes within it, right? So majorly when we see mean or averages, we are talking about the continuous data. Median will be always there for we can go for continuous as well as we can go for discrete count as well, because median is nothing but the middlemost value of the data. I am going to show you these examples through Excel as well. So median is nothing but middlemost value of the arranged data. What we have to say here? Arrange. So now let us get back to all those examples which I have just given to you. I have said that why a specific school? Why shall I go ahead and get an admission for my kid or for my child? Or if I am a college going student, why shall I go and take admission into that particular college? Because to answer this question, we will, when we ask it to ourselves, we will always come up with or look for the answers. What is the average graduation rate, or what is the average passing students passing percentage, or average students passing score for that particular school or for that particular college. When we say I want to buy a new bike, so there are a lot of bikes available. Most of the times people tend to take the decisions on the basis of averages for the fuel consumption every bike occupies. Same comes to in terms of cars as well, right? Masses will always think about it. कितना देती है, कितना एवरेज है, कितना फ्यूल कंज्यूम करती है एवरेज, right? Let us think about getting into some company or applying to some company. Most of the people will take this decision on the basis of what is the average salary this company is paying to their first level employees or the freshers. So if you are a college passing out student and giving a campus interview, and there are 10 companies have come for the campus interviews, majority of the time students will tend to find out what is the average fresher salary these companies are giving. On that basis, probably they will give the interviews to those companies who have come there for taking it into the campuses, right? So whenever we want to take any decision, we will always think about the centrality, the averages, right? Let us think about suppose mode. When we go and find out mode, suppose I want to I want to choose the color of a car. Then many of the times people will, of course, I mean, color choices are limited there, but then masses, if you see, most of the times, what is the mode of the color of the car, which means what is mode? Most occurring value in the data. So you will find, if suppose the data is given to you and you see the color column is there, and there is red, green, yellow, white, orange, again red, green. So some colors will be repeating in the data, right? So whichever the color is appearing most number of times, okay, is nothing but the mode of the data. So if I want to choose a color of a car, I probably go with the mode, because this is what the accepted color in the society, and lot of people are following that. Very few times you will see a person is coming up with something unique or different kind of a color. Most of the times you will find white color, black color, these are the, or red or maroon color. These are the few colors which are very common if you see it on the road, right? Similarly, if I want to take a decision on suppose any of the count data, so maybe something like how many what would you say, how many liters, not liters, how many bottles I shall buy to keep it in the fridge. Now if you see, most of the packages available in the market are coming up with 3 bottle package. Why they are coming up with such an unique number 3? Why not 5 or 6, or why not 2? They are coming up with 3 because what they have seen and understood from the previous or historical measurements of the historical purchases made by the people, they have come up with, maybe the median value of what is the number coming into the center of the data, and Oh, you may take it as the mode example as well. Okay, what is the number of bottles most people are buying, frequently buying? And if it is 3, then the mode of the data will be 3. Right? So I will give you all these examples in Excel sheet as well, so that it will be very easy for us to understand. And now let us look at the most popular measurement, and that is mean or average. So how do we find out mean or average? So it is the summation of, that is, if I want to find out the average of this 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, these 5 numbers, then how I will find? I will find it 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 3 and 2, 3 plus 2, 5 numbers. So how much it is? 5 plus 4, 9 plus 3, 10, 11, 12, 2, 14 plus 1, 15, and 15 divided by 5 will be my average for this series, right? So it will be denoted by this formula. Where this is nothing but the summation. This symbol denotes to summation sign. Summation is nothing but addition. And this is total number of entries in the data. So how many total number of entries in the data? 5 number of entries. That is why this is 5. And summation of all these numbers comes to 15. So 15 divided by 5 will become 3, and that is my average or mean value for the given data, right? But this definition, when we denote it with this symbol, which is called as mu, this is pronounced as, so it is like mu, or you can say mu, mu, right? So this is called as mu, and this is called as x bar. So there are two mean measurements available, or averages calculation formulas available. One will be for population. We have understood what is population in the last session, and one is for the sample. So if I want to find out the average for the population, I will use this formula. If I want to find out the average for the sample, I will use this formula. If you notice, both the formulas are same. The only difference is between this letter and this letter, and of course this and this. So the population average will be always denoted by mu. Population average or population mean will be always denoted by mu, and sample mean will be always denoted by x bar. Sample mean will be always denoted by x bar. And capital N is for population what you can say, population. So number of entries available in population, or you may say population population data or population entries. And small n is for sample number of data. Population number of data or data points, anyway you can see this. So if my population is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, I may have a sample of 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 can become my sample from this population. So if this is my population, So this can become my sample from this population, right? So 2 will become, because there are two numbers, so small n will become 2. Here the capital N will become 5. This is how we calculate the population and sample mean, right? Median is middle, let me write it over here, middle most value of an arranged data. So when the data is in arranged format, so arrangement can be of two types. Either it can be ascending or it can be descending, right? So data has to be arranged first, then only we can calculate the median for that data. And what is the mode? Mode is nothing but most occurring value in the data. So whichever value within the data is occurring more number of times, okay, then that value will become mode for that particular data. So let us take an example in Excel. I will show you. Let us see, these are some data sets I have created, okay, and let us focus on this data set first. This is data set A. So if I want to find out the average for this data, what I will do, the formula is summation of E2 to E7, that is E2 is this, that is 2, and this is my E column. So E2 to E7, okay, all the values available between E2 and E7, I will take the summation of all those values and divide it by 5, because there are 5 numbers. But if I want to find out the median of this data, then because this data is already in an arranged format, that is in ascending or descending order, right, then the middlemost value of this arranged data will be always calculated as median for that particular data, right? Alright, so this is how we calculate the median, the middlemost value of the arranged data. Now if I want to calculate the mode, I can still calculate it for even continuous data or count data, we can calculate it. But for this, if you see, there are no values which are repeating. So had it been like this, 5 is repeating twice, then the mode for this data would have been 5, right? But in general practices, because there are already couple of measures available as far as central tendency calculation is concerned, in terms of mean and median for the continuous data, most of the times for the continuous data we don't use mode as a measure to find out the centrality of the continuous data, right? It will be always either mean or median. But mode we will calculate for the discrete or maybe at times for the count data. Now this is another example. Now let us focus on this data. Now there are how many entries? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 entries in total. But these entries are different entries than the earlier data set. So you see here 1, 2, 3, 4 and then all of a sudden 20 and 500. These are the numbers available in this particular data. Now if we want to calculate the average, obviously Excel gives us the average. You can see over here 88.33 is the average. And the median, because this is again in an arranged format, the median remains the same as 3. Now what happened over here and here? The median remains same for both the datas, but averages have changed. Right? So this is one observation we have made from data set A and data set B. Now let us focus on data set C. Now what happened over here? Again there are 5 values. Average have changed to 102, and again the median remains the same 3, because this data is an arranged data. Now if suppose this data is in this format, like this, 500 over here and 3 over here, now what happened? Now if I want to calculate the average for the data remains same, but what happens to the median? Here this is not the 500 is not the middlemost value over here, because this is not the arranged data. So first of all I have to arrange this data. So I will either arrange it into I will sort it between smallest to largest value or largest to smallest value. Okay, so I am not expanding the selection, I am going with current selection, and you see now this data has become an arranged data. So now I can say the median for this data is 3. Now if you look at this data and this data, here also 500 is present, here also 500 is present. Okay, and here though the 500 is not present, but look at that, there are 5 numbers in all these 3 series, but there is something changed with the numbers, and because of this 520 value or because of this 500 value, the averages have changed. Now these values at times are called as outliers. These values are called as outliers. Now what is an outlier? We will see it in detail later on, but just pinpoint this, okay, or make a note of it or mark it somewhere, that there are some values which are called as outliers, right? So whenever my data is having an outlier values, I normally prefer to go for median calculation, because these outlier values are influencing my averages of the data, but they are not influencing the medians of the data, right? So that is the most important understanding over here. So they may ask, maybe in your interviews or something, why we use median as a measure when already mean is available for the continuous data type, right? So even though mean as a measure to calculate the central tendencies of the data, of the continuous data, is available, why median has been developed? Median has been developed only because mean or my averages will be affected or will be altered, right, or will be impacted because of the outlier data possibly have within the original data. And that is why if there are outliers, we normally prefer, statisticians normally prefer, or also look at, we may also say that we can also look at the median values of the data, and that makes sense actually, right? So what is basic difference, you know, in one simple example I will let you know why it is an important measure. See, for example, if you are going to attend a campus interview, and suppose you are attending XYZ company, maybe it is an IT company, I'm not taking any name, but you can take any name, I mean Infosys, Wipro, TCS, any company for that matter. Now if suppose you come to know the average salary which that particular company is giving to their fresher employees or fresh employees is 25 lakhs per annum, and the other company is giving suppose 8 lakhs per annum. Now the company which is giving 25 lakhs as an average salary, when they have calculated their average salary, if they have considered the packages or the salaries they are giving to the experienced people, maybe 10-15 years experienced people, or maybe their managing directors and CEOs, then definitely those values are going to affect or impact the average calculation. right? So if suppose the normally if a new person is getting 25,000 as a salary, maybe maximum 50,000. This is a new, a new person's or fresher's salary maybe any company is giving. But if you include while calculating the average, so if I want to calculate the average for this one, then the average salary for these 5 people becomes 31,600, right? If I include a person who is getting, and this is a monthly salary I'm talking about. Now if I include a person who is getting 3 lakhs as a salary, and definitely this is a salary for an experienced person, maybe 5 years experience, 10 years experienced person. If I include his salary also into the calculation, my average is increasing, right? And this value becomes outlier for my business problem, because I am not trying to find out the average salary of the experienced person as well. I am only interested in finding out the average salary for the fresh people. So that is why, and now this is an example, and this is how whenever a data is given to us for different business problems, when we look at the central tendency or centrality of the data, we have to check whether there are outlier values available. And of course we are going to see the outlier concept in detail when in the next classes, somewhere when the topic arrives, right? So we will discuss this particular concept in detail over there. Now we have seen mean and median. Okay, so let us take another example over here. This is again an interesting example. If I want to calculate the median of this particular data, then what will be the median for this data? Obviously the average is 11.6. It is not going to change. But because this data is not arranged, okay, if you check, the middlemost value is 200 over here in this particular series, but 200 is not a median for this data. So I have to first always arrange this data, okay, and once the data is arranged, take the middlemost value, which is 2, and that is why the median for this particular data will become 2. So this is what the explanation about mean and median. Now let us understand what is mode. So mode will be, as I said, most of the times it will be used to check the most repeating value, or the most the value which is occurring for the most number of times, and majorly it will be applicable for the discrete data or categorical data. Now in this particular data series, I cannot calculate mean and median. So what can I calculate to find out the centrality of this particular data series, which is mentioned by data set E? So you can see over here, apple, mango, banana, orange, orange, mango, apple. These are the data entries available within the data set, right? So which is the most repeating value over here? So orange is repeating 2 times, mango is repeating 2 times, and apple is repeating 2 times, right? So if I want to calculate the mode, or find out the mode for this, not calculate, find out the mode for this particular data, then it becomes multimodal data, because there are 3 different values which are appearing most number of time, and they are equal. Now if I remove this apple from this list, now this list becomes, so mango is repeating twice, orange is repeating twice, banana and apple once. So again this becomes, because there are 2 values which are repeating most number of times, so now this becomes a bimodal data, because there are 2 modes. It is having 2 modes. One is mango and one is orange. If I remove this mango value from here, and if I want to find out the mode of this data, then the mode becomes orange, and this data series is called as unimodal data. And now if I remove this orange as well, now if you see here, within this data, none of the value is repeating, okay. So most occurrence cannot be find out over here. Almost, not almost, it is equal for all the values, that is 1. And that is why this particular data is called as, it is having no mode, right? So this is how we calculate or find out the mean, median and mode for different datas. Right? So that's it for the today's session about the measures of central tendency, and which is also called as, let me write down over here, we are discussing about measures of central tendencies, which is also called as first moment decisions. Measures for first moment decisions. When we are applying it on businesses, we call it as business decision. First moment business decision, right? So in professional environment, these are called as first moment business decision, because once we identify these measures, then only we take the major decisions in our businesses. So for businesses, if I want to take an example, if suppose the organization is selling something in different zones, right? So if the organization wants to take a major call, whether to increase the number of salesperson, whether to increase the production in that particular area, or supply of produce into that particular zone, maybe east, north, west, south, etc., any zone, right? So if they want to take a call on that, if they want to take a decision on that, okay, they have to check what is the average sale that particular zone is making for which product, okay, which product is having average more sales, okay, or which product for which product the average number of people are more selling that particular product. So depending upon these averages, okay, a company can make a call. Suppose I want to make a call on, or take a decision on whether I want to increase the number of people selling XYZ product in Kanpur, then what I will do first, I will first check what is the total sale they are making, what are the expenses I am having, how many people, salespeople of course, are working there already. Now if I want to increase if I want to take this decision to increase the number of salesperson, I want to first calculate the average of my total sale expenses and etc., etc. So I will get the per person expense ratio, and then if suppose I want to increase my sales force over there, definitely my target of selling items will increase. But to take that decision, how much will be the target and how many people shall be applied, okay, I need to calculate this central tendency, centrality of the data, and that is why these are called as first moment business decision.